Welcome back to Isla Sorna Site 4.
Alright.
Okay, so now that we've done all the main missions, time to go for Pteranodon attack, which, if you may remember, is somewhere here in the bottom of this island. So let's go there. Okay, so you're probably wondering, okay, so what happens? Is after this Isla Sorna Site 5? No. This is actually the final hub world, because from the moment you enter the Pteranodon attack mission, from that point on you have to do 3 missions in a row. And there's no password for the final 2 missions, so you have to complete this in a row. That being said, don't worry. Again, remember when you finish Pteranodon attack, you will get a final password for those final 2 missions. So you have to do those 2 missions without having a password in between them. That being said, those missions are short, so you'll see for yourself. But for now, Pteranodon attack. Fly the helicopter carefully to prevent the pteranodons from attacking the cage. Fire missiles at attacking enemy vehicles in the background. Don't worry about charges for murder. We'll cover those.
Pretty much. You're the good guy. So we'll cover for you.
Where are we, Mom?
Exactly.
Look at that one guy who defends good guys.
It's like in Resident Evil 6. Don't worry, the president would understand. Leon, no, he wouldn't. That was the whole reason why he died.
Seriously, what the hell was up with Leon in that game? Oh wait, right.
What was up?
I mean, that was up with everyone else in that
exactly,
game.
I was about to say.
Although, okay, I guess to be fair, Sherry was fine.
What game are you talking about?
Resident Evil 6.
Resident Evil 6.
The black sheep of the series.
Okay, I'll say this. I feel like the one good thing they did was bringing back Sherry Birkin.
But yeah, as you saw,
it was nice to see what became of her.
But yeah, once again, just like all the other boss missions, it's once again a showcase for the 3D capabilities of the Mega Drive.
I can see.
So you have the pteranodons, and they always circle around your cage, so you have to make sure to stay. Fortunately, as you can see, the game helps you by showing you that square that shows you exactly where you need to place the cage. That way you have a good idea of how you can have. The game doesn't always show you that square.
We don't have a square.
That's the thing. The game at first shows you every time at first, Joe. It's just to give you a basic idea of what you're supposed to do, and then after a couple times it stops showing it to you. So okay, you got to figure it out, right? Like, try for yourself now without help, basically. So it's I can tell what the developers are doing. They're basically giving you a couple training wheels, right? And then when you okay, by this point you should be used to it. Here, let me take out the training wheel. See how do you do? That's basically what they're doing here. So I can see.
What dinosaurs are you carrying?
That's the thing too. I don't know.
I do recognize the species,
Wait,
but I don't remember
like
the name.
Stegosaurus.
No. It's the one similar to. Okay, it's the one with the bumpy tail.
Oh, the Ankylosaurus?
I think that's his name. The one that's a bit slightly spiky and has like a mace for a tail.
I don't know, too. Like, that's the thing. The icon on the dinosaur's health bar on the bottom left corner just shows a skeleton of a raptor? T-Rex, maybe? I don't know. I get the feeling the developers themselves didn't particularly think through what dinosaur. It's just a cage that you have to put. Go on.
Now those dinosaurs were just being cheeky with that wavy pattern.
Yeah. The pteranodons were bored, so they figured like this was their exercise.
Like, hey, let's put on a literal air show with how convoluted some of these patterns are.
That's the thing, Jova. This is made from the Echo the Dolphin team, and I can tell you that there are levels in Tides of Time, specifically the levels that take place in the sky. Yes, I know. Just don't ask. Yeah. Don't ask. It's a long story. We'll get to it when we do those games. Some of the levels that you do in the sky inside the water tubes actually have patterns that are very similar to these. So yeah, this is when you can tell it's made by the same team. There you go. So yeah, basically every time those vehicles show up, just blow them up with missiles. Again, we'll cover up the murder charges. There you go. See? You see, Taylor, it's okay to kill these bad guys because they're faceless. We don't even see their faces, so it's not like it matters. Alright, there you go. again, as like in the previous one, look at the bottom right, sorry, the top right corner. You'll see that bar. When that bar fully fills, you're done. And as you can see, I'm doing very well. So this is not particularly hard. It's fine.
Wait, what happens if the timer runs out? What does the helicopter automatically self-destruct?
That's the thing. It does not run out. It's the opposite. The bar is filling, not depleting.
That's what I meant. Yeah, what happens? Does it self-destruct?
I don't know. That bar on the top right corner is actually more of a progress bar. I guess the developers couldn't come up with a better icon than a clock. I guess they couldn't. I mean, you can't write the word progress because it would clutter the screen a bit too much. So I don't know. I guess the developers couldn't come up with a proper symbol that symbolizes progress rather than time.
Just like how about like a percentage thing?
Yeah, true. That's well, I guess. Well, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. We're almost there, though.
There we go.
There you go. So yeah, this one is not too hard. I thought the river raft was actually harder. There you go. And now Jungle Firestorm. There you go. Map card found. So what exactly is this mission all about? I think I'm gonna get the message in a moment. Yeah, right now. Let's see what it is. The jungle is now ablaze for some reason, and you must move quickly to escape from it. Take the north or south path and follow it to safety.
Thanks.
I guess the
Okay, now I'm seeing the flames.
the developers wanted to raise the stakes. Whoops, I don't know.
Where the heck is this fire coming from? Did one of the dinosaurs develop fire-breathing powers or something?
Okay.
Nano machines involved?
Okay, so here's the basic gist of it. Oh, there you go. Here's the cart.
Shoot! We must shoot.
Good job.
We should have stayed on foot. We were obviously doing better in the fire on foot than we were in the car.
All right, let's try it for the bottom path then. Yeah,
I was expecting your winner. I don't know why.
There's actually two paths, a bottom one and a top one, so the level is flexible in the way you progress. Okay, so take a look at that meter in the bottom. That's your heat meter. The closer you are to the fire, the more it rises. So basically that's your way of knowing how far from the fire you are, basically. So it's nothing too much. You get the map card right from the beginning, like you just saw, so basically just take a look at the path forward you and just walk accordingly. As long as you keep walking, you don't stop, you should be fine.
So this is one of those cases where you don't want to get warmer.
Exactly. So yeah, like I said, the jungle is now caught fire for reasons that are never explained. The developers had, my guess is the developers had one of the developers said, okay guys, I have a really cool idea. How about we have a mission where there's fire coming after you and you have to run away from it? And that's where this level came from. Because remember, this was back in a time where developers were very much operated mostly on instinct. If they had a cool idea, it would make it into the game just because it's a cool idea, basically. All right.
Good old primal instinct.
Exactly.
Well, I gotta say, despite how fast fire supposedly travels, we are obviously kicking its ass.
Yes, because that's totally how it works, right? Humans can totally outrun wildfires that are spreading.
Well, that decreased spread, though.
Well, I don't really want to get into that. Well, then again, actually, now that you say that, I guess you can say, yeah, this is being accurate to the movies, then.
It was just avant-garde, that kind of sense.
You see, Jurassic World took that idea from this, clearly.
Volcano specifically, referring to the volcano eruption.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, still not as absurd as running away from wind. So. Again,
Okay, that being said, Pedro, I'll take running away from wind over mentally like 8-year-old people in teenagers' bodies having sex because
oh wait,
because they just have to have
old
it.
Apparently.
Wait, what are you referencing?
Old.
Oh, old. Right.
Seriously, yeah, when I was watching that scene in the cinema, I thought the police were gonna burst in.
All right, next level.
Final countdown.
Final countdown, as implied by the title. Yeah. Ta-da-da-da, ta-da-da-da, ta-da-da. The self-destruction device has been triggered. You must escape the island before the time runs out. There you go, Dwibs. Now I can answer you.
Metroid game now.
All right, Dwibs. Now I can answer your question. What happens when time runs out? The island fucking explodes.
Who the hell set the island to blow? We just came here to do a job. What is happening?
Okay, I should elaborate. Thankfully, we never actually see any scenes like that in the movie, but it's really implied, and I was like, ooh.
Well, Dwibs, the fact that the girl ends up being pregnant kind of confirms.
Doesn't leave much to the imagination.
Yeah, no, let's just say it was implied.
I was also...
No way would that film get released out here if they tried that.
I was also... aside from that bit, I was also quite baffled by the way the African American character is treated in that movie. Not just the fact that he died, not just the fact that he dies. That's of course a terrible trope altogether as well. But it's not even just that; it's just the way he's written. He's written so stereotypically. But also somehow,
I thought you were talking about Dungeons and Dragons.
No. He's talking about M. Night Shyamalan's Old, the movie that was supposedly gonna get M. Night Shyamalan back on track, and it technically did. It just got him back on the wrong track.
It's also the fact that it's not. It's its first major non-original script. Is actually based on a book about how much I don't really know. And I honestly not super interested in checking that out, I gotta be honest.
I'm willing to bet it's one of those cases where the book's fine, but M. Night Shyamalan'd it.
okay. It's okay because fortunately, somehow collecting clocks that just happen to be spread over the course of the level somehow raises the timer back to full.
Of course.
So just keep collecting clocks, basically.
So, are we still getting paid for this, even though the island's blowing up?
My guess is, Jova, they want to cover up any evidence of what went down here.
You know, if this takes place after Jurassic Park 3, this is actually the perfect tail end to explain, you know, again, why Sornios never brought up again.
I get the idea that's not happening.
Maybe that's exactly what happened to after the first movie happened. In between movies, they triggered the self-destruction mechanism, as this game puts it, and destroyed Isla Nublar. Maybe that's what happened. There you go.
No.
Sorry, no, that's it.
Sornio, yeah. We see Isla Nublar's fate in Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah, you're right. Whatever. The point is, somehow this Isla Sorna has a self-destruction mechanism. Yeah, try incorporating that into the movies, Colin. So we have to run. There you go, WebC. You keep asking me what happens if time runs out. Now I can answer you. The island fucking blows up. That's what happens.
That should happen more often in video games. On timer missions, if you fail, the land that you're on blows up. Like that should. I mean, Sonic Adventure 2 did that.
It's interesting because when it came to that level, like if you watch the reworked cutscenes that guy did on YouTube of that one, what was most baffling to me by hearing that cutscene between Sonic and Shadow with the sound mixing fixed was that after Sonic says blows up, Shadow actually says shoot. But if you listen to that in the proper game, I cannot even hear it in the actual game because the music is so fucking loud. I up until that guy made that reworked version of the cutscene, I didn't even know Shadow said shoot after that because you can't hear anything because the music is so fucking loud.
I won't lie, maybe it's the edited mixing, but one thing that's always gotten me about David Humphrey is that he sounds almost sometimes like he's got a throat problem and he can only speak very quietly as Shadow.
I will argue it's more like a direction thing. You can tell that Lonnie probably told him you're tortured and you're sad, you're the tragic character, so you have to sound sad. And by sad, she means, oh, you sound very down on the dumps, and that's why he sounds like that. Probably that's maybe the idea that they were going for. Maybe. Okay. To be fair, that's not quite how he does it. To be fair,
I'm the coolest.
he says that line fine. Okay, like the line is out of character.
Just an ordinary hedgehog after all.
Well, again, one thing we have to remember about the Sonic Adventure cast is that they were given badly translated scripts with direction that, according to Ryan, wasn't the best.
Okay.
Wasn't
That is
Naka
something-
involved with the direction?
Yes. Okay. Lennon Manila is not to blame for a lot of this stuff. No, the one you actually do blame is Naka. Because Naka, in his usual pride and ego-driven way, thought, well, truly, a Japanese person would be able to better voice direct for these Americans. This is why you hear stuff like random Japanese stuff like, yo short Teria being said by the characters.
Naka wanted those to remain in.
Which, I mean, okay, he's lucky that they're as cool as they sounded, thanks to the voice actors working with it. But it was still random as all heck.
Well, we got
And-
ora.
Yes. And let me put it like this, Naka is the one we have to thank for a lot of the weird oddities of Adventure 2's script and some of its voice acting.
I love how you said script as if you were implying. Wait, SA2 had a script.
Actually, one of my favorite mistranslations from that game is the one where Knuckles comes out of the sewers. There you go, Dibs. There you go, Dibs. This is what happens.
Woo!
Ooh.
This is not the beautiful scenery you were looking for.
I mean, it didn't look like it got blown up. It just looked like some sparks went off.
Unfortunately, Wibbs, for as cutting edge as our game is, we still can't exactly have the physics to show an island exploding in game. So,
Also, I love the. It's like what happened if you get a game over in Space Invaders Invasion Day. Oh, the island exploded, but what's most important is that the mission failed.
Space Invaders.
That's like the game over screen of Deadly Premonition. Like you die and then it says investigation failure. Yeah, I died, but the most importantly, the investigation was a failure. So,
Priorities, man.
all right, we're almost there, and there we go. So long.
And
Oh.
thanks for all the dinosaurs.
Oh, bye then.
There you
Bye,
go.
if I compile my information. Bye.
So the hunter just has to do a sick drift.
Just leave.
All right, Tail. Feel free to watch the credits.
Yeah.
Can I go first with my final thoughts? Actually,
Go on.
this is after depart. It's fine. I mean, for the time it came out and for the limitations of the system, it's actually really impressive how they managed to do all this stuff in this game. And I mean, again, a Mega Drive game in 1997. Normally, that kind of equals disaster. Just making a half-baked product for a system that's pretty much dead already. But no, it actually looks all right. I can't remember if it's any better than the PS1
Attila, there you
version,
go.
because it's been a while since I've played it.
Mm-hmm.
But again, well done to these developers for doing a pretty good job with the system and the limitations that they had to work with.
Indeed.
I mean, the only real downgrades are the only real downs are that there are a couple of missions where it is kind of feels a bit vague. Plus, I mean, those weird shifts towards all of a sudden, bam, you're in a vehicle stage. A bit odd. But overall, I do have to commend the Yeah, that's the biggest praise I can give the game. The fact that we were able to make a game like this on the system that it was on and the time that it was made. Although I can't imagine this would have sold all that well, considering. I mean, I know it's got the Jurassic Park name behind it, but it was a Mega Drive game in 1997.
If you want to play around in the levels, use this password, Magic Box.
And what can you do?
Level select, like it says there.
Yep. Yeah, if you ever want to play the level where you have to drive around or the island blows up, bam, that's the code you put in. Alright, one quick question before we go. Are we going to be doing any games based on Jurassic Park 3?
Maybe I'll
get games based off of
there are. Yeah.
Lego games.
Maybe I'll do the GBA game that I played back in the day at some point, but not now. Maybe in a later future.
Yeah.
That game isn't even based on the movie. It's like it does. It's just because it does its own thing.
Just like this one.
Alright, okay. Unless there's a game in from that particular film where you can kill Spidey before he has a chance to do anything, then it's a failure.
Indeed. Alright,
I'm done. Pretty decent job. Well done to these guys.
Dej.
Oh, that looks fine. Again, for what it was, what year did this come out?
1997 on the Genesis.
Yeah, they basically took advantage of the hardware and went wild with it, and I'm impressed with how good this looks sound and how much you can do in it. I need to try this out for myself. This looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
And you said that not many people know this game exists, right?
No. Remember, it came out in 1997 on the Genesis. Deji. Who the hell was playing the Genesis in 1997?
Brazil.
Aside from Brazil.
Aside from Brazil lives in its own alternate timeline. But yeah, most people at the time.
I don't think Although Dej does have a point. I don't think even Brazilians really talk about this game for some reason.
It's just that it's also the fact that there's also the game based on also the second movie that was on PlayStation and Sega Saturn. So I get the idea that in case when one game is mentioned, the game about from Lost World Jurassic Park, everyone probably jump on that instead. That's my guess, at least.
Remember, back the PS1 was already out by 2 years by this point, so most people had just moved on by this point. And yes, Brazil loves the Mega Drive, but they love the Master System way more. So, yeah. Go on.
Me?
Oh, actually, are you done, Dej?
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Okay, go on, Joe.
Looks good.
Yeah, no, good game, great music. It really was ahead of its time. In all the right ways, though, so it's not like it was something that would have failed because of it. Like, no, I really attribute its failure to the fact that it was a Genesis game in 1997. You could have been the best Genesis game ever, and you still might have run into the obvious issue that, well, who was playing the Genesis in that capacity?
Mm-hmm. Remember, everybody, this was back in the day where, compared to today, home consoles were not as expensive as they are nowadays because the hardware was much more simple back in those days. So people were able to pretty much transition from generation to generation far easier and with far less money requirements. So, yeah, people really moved fast between generations at the time. So, yeah. It wasn't like a console, not like, for example, it wasn't a case like today where a game can still come out on the PS4, even though despite the PS5 already being a thing, and people would still go into it because the PS4 is still popular. No, that was a very different time in console generations compared to today.
Which is what really made the expensive console stand out back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like the good old
3DO.
Yeah, 3DO. Jesus Christ. That one is actually more expensive than consoles are nowadays.
The sad part is that the 3DO does have some really good games. It's just that the price point was very prohibitive.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, no, this game is pretty great, honestly. It's not perfect. It still has some quirks, but they can be excused for the time that it was made, because there was really still only so much you could do in a game, let alone a 16-bit game.
Mm-hmm.
So good stuff, honestly. Love the music too.
Mm-hmm. Same. You done?
Next.
Okay, Theo. So were you able to find anything on the composer?
Yes, Attila Heger. Attila Heger. It doesn't, unfortunately, say as much. Apparently, from what I understand, he was one of the key composers at Appaloosa. The other games that I've seen that he has co-composed and not entirely on his own are Star Trek Deep Space Nine Crossroads of Time, so any Trek in the audience can tell us if that game's any good or not, and a game called Three Dirty Dwarves for the Sega Saturn, and I'm not even sure I want to even know what that's about.
Watch that be a sleeper hit somehow.
Sure, for the Sega Saturn, of course. But more recently has co-composed for some specific table for pinball video games themed. But I can't believe he has composed for something else and he's sadly just not credited, like in this case, for example. Anyway, as for this game, again, it's a technical achievement, interesting for what he wanted to do. The problem is that, like he said, it just doesn't really have anything to do with Lost World aside from the setting and the tokens. You could rework very minimally and just disguise it at your original IP with Dinosaurs Do Not Steal. And there's the fact that in order to achieve this kind of technical level, most of the environments are very much of the same. Sure, there is a bit of variety in what kind of dinosaurs you can find and the weapons that you choose, plus also some of the vehicles that you do find. But again, I think it worked for the best when they came out. For today, it might get a bit too repetitive even for me. So I did fine still at the end, don't get me wrong. It's just not something that I probably would play myself right now. But I do see, the achievement that was reached. Next, Pedro.
Yeah, like I still have a soft spot for this one because it's incredibly impressive. Yeah, like as someone who actually did play back in the day, it blew my freaking mind. Like because you never saw something like this on the Genesis before this game, and they never saw it ever since. And I really have to once again compliment Appaloosa for their brilliant understanding of the Mega Drive hardware, because they managed to make this was definitely a return to form for them after Echo Jr. definitely. So yeah, you can tell that the developers poured their heart and soul into this, and the result is a game that is still very enjoyable to this day. It's obviously it has its dated aspects, but this game is nowhere near as outdated as it should be, considering what it's doing. To be honest with you, I will argue. The game that came out a year before. I will argue Mario 64 has more outdated aspects than this game does. Because this game actually does a good job, specifically the map system. The map system is pretty fantastic. You can tell the developers did their best to keep frustration to a minimum, which is something that you don't see often back in this era of gaming, because back then developers were so enthusiastic with this brand new things we can do, this brand new technology. Again, that's why Mario 64 is an uneven game. Because it's the same thing with King's Quest V when that game came out in 1990, because you can tell the developers were so enthusiastic with this brand new technology that they can use, to the point where that game was a bit, bonkers, to say the least. But this game, on the other hand, you have to compliment the developers for being intelligent and exercising restraint and not allowing the technology to cloud their judgment. And they genuinely thought this through and make sure to make the things, at the very least, fine. At worst, to try to keep the frustration to a minimum, and that's something that's very admirable, considering the time that this game was made. Today, it's nothing special, but think about it from the time that this game came out. This was quite the achievement for the time that it came out, and for the platform that it came out, all the more. The music is great. And I don't, yeah, while it is true that the environments don't have much variety, at the same time, considering the fact that these developers are already pushing this thing beyond what it should realistically be able to do, I'm gonna cut them some slack. And yeah, very, very enjoyable game to this day. So looking forward to that. All right, everybody, that was Lost World by Appaloosa. Tune in for whenever I get my copies of Echo 1 and Echo 2 so we can see the more well-known games by this team. So,
Yeah.
see ya then.